Hey, amazing viewers, I love connecting with you all around the world. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share will leave you inspired and ready to take control of your own life. In today's story, you'll hear about an incredible twist that no one saw coming. Also, if this is your first time here, press the subscribe button and join our incredible journey. The moment Crystal Cole stepped onto that plane, no one knew the storm that would brew in the next few hours. To the casual observer, she was just another first-class passenger, well-dressed, calm, and composed. But beneath that professional exterior was something far more significant. Crystal was on a mission, one that would not only test her ability to stay composed under pressure, but also reveal the dark secrets lurking in the very system that was supposed to keep everyone safe. It was supposed to be an ordinary flight from Chicago to Los Angeles, just another routine assignment. But for one flight attendant, Megan Parker, it would be anything but ordinary. Megan was a woman consumed by resentment, a resentment that had quietly, over time, eaten away at her. She had always believed that her looks and her charm would secure her promotions, but when another black woman, Alyssa, was promoted over her, something in Megan snapped. She couldn't help but feel the sting of injustice. She believed that the system, the airline, had betrayed her, and in her mind, the only way to regain control was to strike back, to make others pay for what she saw as a deep personal injustice. Megan's bitterness had grown into something more dangerous, a desperation that had led her to make a deal, one that promised quick money in exchange for a favor. It seemed innocent at first: move some packages, secure some routes, make some money on the side. But soon, the weight of her actions would catch up with her. The flight was uneventful at first. Crystal sat quietly, her trained eyes absorbing everything in her surroundings. She wasn't just traveling. She was observing every shift in the flight attendant's mood, every subtle glance at the passengers. Crystal was always watching, always aware. She knew something was off. There was a pattern in Megan's behavior, a tension in the air, something Crystal could sense even before it fully materialized. But it wasn't until a seemingly small moment, a tiny slip-up, that Crystal's suspicions were confirmed. Megan's hand shook ever so slightly as she poured drinks for the passengers. It was a moment so small, so imperceptible to most people, but to someone like Crystal, who had spent years honing her instincts, it was a red flag. Her eyes never stopped moving as she quietly observed the flight attendant, tracking every movement, every action. Crystal's instincts told her that something was very wrong, but she didn't yet know what. And then it happened. Megan made a critical mistake. Crystal watched as the flight attendant, in a moment of carelessness, slipped something into her bag. It was too quick, too discreet, but Crystal had seen it. Megan had just planted something in Crystal's handbag, something that would turn her life upside down. But that was just the beginning. What Megan didn't realize, what no one could have predicted, was that Crystal wasn't just any passenger. She was an undercover CIA agent, someone who had cracked countless cases, brought down dangerous criminals, and uncovered national security threats. And now, Crystal was the one being targeted. As the minutes ticked by, Crystal's mind raced. She remained calm on the outside, but inside, she was already formulating a plan. She could feel the eyes of the other passengers on her. Phones were already out, recording the scene. Megan's plot was unfolding in real time, and Crystal wasn't about to let her get away with it. She would turn the tables. This wasn't just about a drug ring. It was about exposing the ugly truth hidden behind a carefully constructed facade. As Crystal prepared to confront the flight attendant, her mind flashed back to a moment in the terminal just hours before. She had been there for a reason: to observe, to gather information, to catch the criminals who believed they could slip through the cracks. But now, the focus was on her. The game had changed. Crystal wasn't just going to stop a crime. She was about to expose an entire operation, one that would rock the airline industry to its core. And all of this started with a single careless act, an act that Megan thought was just a way to get ahead, to erase the frustration of her own life. But little did she know, that act would unravel everything. The stakes were high, and what would unfold next? You'll have to keep watching, because the truth was about to come out in the most shocking way possible. The cabin was quiet now, the hum of the airplane engines, the only sound punctuating the tension that hung thick in the air. Crystal sat motionless in her seat, her eyes subtly scanning the flight attendants as they moved about, tending to passengers. On the outside, she was just another calm traveler, absorbed in her tablet, seemingly unaware of the plot unfolding around her. But inside, her mind was racing. She had been trained to notice details, small, seemingly insignificant details that others would miss. And right now, those details were telling her everything she needed to know. Megan had planted something in her bag. It was clear now. Crystal had felt the subtle shift in the weight of her purse, noticed the deliberate way Megan had avoided looking at her when she passed by. The flight attendant had been too eager to serve others, but had given Crystal nothing more than a curt acknowledgement. As Crystal stared out of the window, her thoughts briefly flashed to her earlier meeting with Director Reynolds. The mission was clear. Identify the drug smuggling operation, observe the flight crews, and make sure the operation stayed undetected. But now it was more personal. Megan Parker had just framed her for a crime she didn't commit, and with the whole first-class cabin watching, phones out, ready to record, Crystal knew that she was about to be publicly humiliated. What they didn't realize was that they weren't witnessing the downfall of an innocent passenger. They were about to witness the unraveling of an illegal operation. Just as Crystal was about to make her next move, Megan approached her seat once again, this time with an almost comically exaggerated smile plastered on her face. "Can I help you with anything else, ma'am?" she asked sweetly, her voice dripping with false politeness. Crystal's gaze was unwavering as she met her eyes, noting the subtle flicker of anxiety in Megan's expression. "No," Crystal replied coolly. "I'm fine." But Megan didn't back away. She lingered, a little too long, almost as if she was waiting for something. Crystal could sense it. Megan was watching her, waiting for a reaction. The flight attendant's posture was stiff, almost defensive, and it was clear to Crystal that the situation had escalated in Megan's mind. She had done something she thought would be a simple transaction. A small package slipped into the wrong bag. But now she was trying to control the narrative, manipulate the passengers, and most importantly, control Crystal. Megan's words echoed in the stillness of the cabin. "It's been a long flight, hasn't it? I'm sure you're looking forward to getting off this plane." The words were light, casual, but they didn't fool Crystal. They were meant to provoke, to get her to react. But Crystal wasn't about to play into Megan's game. Instead, she leaned back in her seat, her calm demeanor never faltering. She knew that the next few minutes would determine the course of everything. The entire plane was watching, and what happened next would shape not only her own future, but also expose Megan's dark secrets. She could feel the tension in the air, like a tightly wound spring ready to snap. Just then, Megan made her move. She spoke loudly enough for everyone around her to hear, pointing directly at Crystal. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "I believe we found something that shouldn't be here. We've just discovered that this passenger is carrying illegal substances. This is a serious matter." The gasps and whispers spread through the cabin like wildfire. Phones began to light up, recording the scene as if it were a reality TV show. Crystal felt every eye on her as the flight attendant's accusation echoed in the cabin. But Crystal remained still, her face a mask of calm. The trap was set, and what Megan didn't know was that Crystal wasn't just another passenger. She was a CIA agent, trained to handle far more dangerous situations than this. Megan's arrogance had made her sloppy, and now, it was Crystal's turn to turn the tables. The air marshal was summoned. He appeared at the front of the cabin, his eyes scanning the room. Megan looked almost relieved, as though she was about to be vindicated in front of the entire flight. But what she didn't realize was that this wasn't just about drugs. It was about something much larger. Crystal stood up as the air marshal approached, her expression unchanging. "I'm not the criminal here," she said firmly. "But you need to understand that what's happening is much bigger than you realize." Megan's smug expression faltered for just a second, but she quickly recovered. "Are you accusing me?" she demanded loudly, her voice shaking slightly. The cabin was still buzzing with disbelief, and in the midst of it all, Crystal remained composed. She wasn't just fighting to clear her name. She was about to expose the whole network, and she had every intention of using the truth to tear down the lies that had been carefully constructed around her. As the air marshal began to check Crystal's bag, Megan couldn't hide the flicker of doubt in her eyes. She had played her part, but she had underestimated Crystal. And now, it was too late for her to turn back. This was just the beginning of the story, the first act in a tale of deception, manipulation, and the fight for justice. The stage was set, and the stakes were higher than either of them could have imagined. Crystal wasn't going down without a fight. And as the plane descended toward its destination, both she and Megan were about to face consequences far beyond their control. As the plane touched down, the noise of the wheels on the tarmac barely registered in Crystal's mind. The chaos that had unfolded just moments earlier on board was now quiet, but the truth was still very much alive in her heart. As airport security led her off the plane, her head held high, she could hear the murmurs and whispers of the passengers behind her. They had recorded everything: the drama, the accusations, and the supposed shame of a woman they thought was guilty. But the truth was something far different than what they had witnessed. Crystal had known this moment was coming, knew it would be the turning point. What they didn't know, what no one could have predicted, was that the person they believed to be the criminal was a top CIA operative. And what was unfolding wasn't just the downfall of one woman. It was the unmasking of an entire network of criminals who thought they could manipulate the system. While Megan thought she had won, that she had set her trap perfectly, she could not have anticipated the power of what she had underestimated. As Crystal walked through the airport under the watch of security, every step she took carried with it the weight of her years of dedication, service, and the mission she had sworn to complete. She was on the verge of exposing a dangerous criminal operation, one that not only endangered innocent lives, but fed into a system of prejudice and injustice. But this wasn't just about drugs or criminal activity. It was about something much deeper, a lesson in resilience, integrity, and the power of truth. Crystal had been framed, but she never lost sight of who she was. She didn't panic. She didn't lash out. She simply carried on. Her calm composure in the face of public humiliation was a testament to her strength and the value she held. She knew the truth would eventually come to light, and in the end, truth had a way of cutting through lies like a blade. The moment Crystal had been waiting for finally arrived. She was back in her CIA headquarters, sitting before Director Reynolds, ready to show the world how dangerous assumptions could be. Megan Parker, in her desperation, had tried to destroy Crystal, but instead, she had exposed herself. The videos, the documents, the evidence, all were there for everyone to see. The truth was undeniable. What Megan hadn't realized when she framed Crystal was that she was up against a force much bigger than herself, one that operated with purpose and integrity. In the world Crystal lived in, there was no room for corruption or dishonesty. There were only those who protected the truth, no matter the cost. And as Crystal sat in that room with Reynolds, she knew that the work ahead of her was far from over. This was only the beginning. The operation she had uncovered would send shockwaves through the entire system, revealing a network of criminals who used their positions of power to exploit others. But it wasn't just about dismantling this operation. It was about ensuring that justice prevailed. Crystal had never been one to seek fame or glory. She had always worked in the shadows, quietly making the world a safer place. But now, in this moment, she realized that sometimes standing up for what is right requires more than just doing your job. It requires courage, resilience, and a commitment to truth that cannot be swayed. As Megan's viral video continued to spread across the internet, painting her as a hero, the truth remained hidden in plain sight. The truth about who Crystal really was, the truth about the system that had allowed corruption to thrive, and the truth about the power of resilience. The message here is simple. No matter how difficult the path, no matter how much others may try to tear you down, the truth will always rise. It may take time, it may be uncomfortable, but in the end, those who stand by their integrity will always come out stronger. The lies may spread, the false narratives may circulate, but the truth has a way of prevailing, sometimes in the most unexpected and powerful ways. It's a reminder to all of us that no matter how hard life gets, no matter what obstacles we face, we must hold firm to our values, our beliefs, and our commitment to justice. Because in the end, truth is more powerful than any lie, and it will always shine through, no matter the odds. This conclusion wraps up the story with a powerful message of resilience, integrity, and the importance of truth. It emphasizes the strength in standing up for what is right, even when faced with adversity, and offers an inspiring and motivating message for you.